sir.
Sorry, Matt.
Since we had a couple of problems over there, I took for granted that y'all knew these things. Safety, everybody's gonna have their what next class?
Safety glasses.
Safety glasses, no short pants or open-toe shoes are not allowed. Synthetic clothing is not allowed when working in the lab because most synthetic clothing is very flammable, right? Electrical insulated gloves must be worn when working in energized equipment. That's when we're in here. Over there, we was only dealing with 12 volts, right? Over here, we're dealing with up to 120 volts. That's above the legal level. What's considered, according to the 70E standard, what's considered to be a lethal voltage? Anything above 50 volts. So we're above that, so that means we're required to have you wear basic PPE. Of course, we're not working on extreme high voltages, right? So basically safety glasses, leather gloves. If we was working in a place where you had, where things could fall, then we would be required to wear hard hats too, and leather boots, by the way, but we don't, 120 volts is not that bad. But you only have to wear those when you do what? When power's applied and you're making measurements. That's the only time you have to do it. If your hands are not in the circuit, then you don't have to wear those gloves, right? You don't have to wear the gloves when you're building the circuit because the power's supposed to be off. The three-phase disconnect must be locked and tagged during construction, construction or modification. Do not make any connections or circuit modifications while the circuit is energized. I see this happen so all the time. A wire fall off, and what would somebody have the tendency to do? Grab it and try to plug it back in, right? I see people when they troubleshoot, they try to move wires around with power applied. Very, very dangerous. A short circuit test will be made made on each circuit before the applied power. I need to talk to somebody about that too. I understood that in the last class some fuse was blown. How many fuses have been blown when I teach motor control? No. Yeah. We had one problem. We blew some fuses, but that's when they hooked up a timer and the circuit was hooked up right, but they didn't hook the timer up, and two motors tried to start at the same time.
Someone blew when we started the motor controls.
Yeah, well, it was done because somebody else was teaching the class, so I got to get the people that teach motor controls and tell them what's required in the class, because that should never happen under normal circumstances. No more than two conductors attached to any terminal in any connection. One connection to H1 and H4, right? These we don't have to worry about because our H1 and H4 are wired up for us, right? Power must be removed from the circuit while awaiting an instructor's sign-off. Please press the stop button to remove power. So the problem is, and I see this happen all the time, and why I require this, is I've seen people sitting there talking to their buddy, right, and they forget the power's on, and they're up there pointing at their circuit. So while you're waiting on me to come back there and sign that circuit off, when you come over and put your name on that list, you need to kill power on that thing. And then I'll come back. I have the key, right? I can put the power on. No eating or dip bottles in the classroom. No beverages allowed on or near the trainers. No chairs allowed on the trainer workstation. Not following the procedure will deduct from the student's lab grade. Experiments are to be formed in teams of no more than two students unless it's approved by the instructor. I think motor controls they had to have some threes because we didn't have enough trainers. All entries, when you get your lab form, first thing you're supposed to do is get a lab form, right? And they'll be up here on the desk, right? Fill in the required material on the lab form. Everybody's familiar with that, right? Okay. Not having your lab grade form at the workstation with the required fill out will cost you points. And y'all been in the class before, guys, so we're not having a grace period in this class. Write the manufacturer terminal numbers, the line numbers, and the numerical cross-reference numbers on the diagram of each circuit before beginning instruction. Do y'all understand that? Everybody okay there? Y'all understand what each one of those things are? And then you're connecting numbers and you're not trying to. Students in a team must take turns connecting circuits. Each team member must document the constructor of the circuit in the space provided. The team members not connecting the circuit is the team leader and must provide manufacturer numbers as to where connections are to be made. I don't want to see somebody hooking up a circuit and I go and the other team members come and say, "Oh, he's taking a break." Right? This is a team effort. The way this works is one person is hooking up the conductors, and the other guy is doing what? Telling them where to hook them up, right? Y'all understand that? And y'all are both responsible for the circuit, guys, so it's none of this, well, so-and-so hooked it up.
Yeah, you like drop down.
Yeah. Everybody okay on that one? Place a check mark beside each experiment procedure step when it's completed. This just lets me know where I need to sign off, right? You understand? And ever have the instructor check your work procedure step. The instructor must initial your lab book, indicating that the steps that have been successfully completed, skipping over any supervised check will result in 0 on that section of the experiment. The instructor must perform a basic safety check. So it looks like other instructors might not be doing that. Instructors must perform a basic safety check and energize the circuit. They're doing energizing the circuit, but they're not checking. The circuit's operation can be confirmed. Once you confirm that the circuit is working as prescribed, have the instructor check the circuit and initial your lab book and grade lab form. Before the circuit is checked off, questions will be asked by the instructor to determine if you understand the circuit's operation. So we're just not coming back there and checking to see it work. I'm gonna say, what's this circuit supposed to do? Right? Students will not be awarded for point. This is another biggie, guys. This is a mini-term. A mini-term means that every class counts as a week of classes, right? You understand? So, and we have no time. It's just like in motor controls. Y'all had no time to make up labs, right? There was more labs to do than you could get through. Students are not awarded points for portions of experiments completed by the team member when they are absent or tardy. When the absent or tardy team member returns, he or she must continue labs at the point at which the present team member is currently working. There's no time scheduled to make up labs due to absences or tardy. Now, we do scale the lab grade. We drop 1 or 2 labs at the end of the semester, depending on how many we get done, which means it won't hurt you to mess a lab or make real bad on a lab, right? You understand? But we have absolutely no time to make up labs. And it's not fair for the student that was here to let you go back and do what?
True.
Screw around with their grade, right? You understand? Each team member must complete a lab grade form for each experiment. Everybody understand that? Lab grade forms are not to leave the classroom. I recommend you leave your labs here. You get here and you say, "Oh, I left my lab home." All grade lab forms must be turned into the instructor at the end of each class, and that's going to be the not to be graded box up here, right? All constructor circuits must be arguments like that. This is causing me problems. The questions at the end of each experiment and experiment chapter quizzes are not a team effort and must be answered individually by each student. So you're getting credit for hooking up the lab, right? And then, so the full grade is going to be how you answer those questions, right? That's your grade. That's your grade. That's not your team's grade. That's your grade, right? So don't let people copy your test. I gave a semiconductor test. Let them take it home. Now I got four tests that are exactly the same, calculated out to 3 decimal points. And 4 of them say a resistor that has a voltage drop conducts no current on 4 tests. Now what's the odds of that happening?
Cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was going to.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I'm sure Dr. Crawford, if I carried these over there, I'm sure Dr. Crawford would tell me that. You know what he will do if I carry those papers over there?
He'll say, make them retake it.
No, he'll say, they're gone.
He wants to.
No, that's it. If you cheat, Dr. Crawford, you're gone. You're out of the college. So cheating in college, guys, is a drastic situation. And unfortunately, we got people that do that. So these are not a team effort, right? You understand? You're going to do those questions what? By yourself.
We ain't have no question this time.
Yeah, you do. Same, exactly the same as motor controls. So at the end of every experiment, there's a set of questions. And then at the end, not on this lab. Yeah, not this lab. I understand now.
Okay.
Yeah, on the actual, when we start working on these over here, yeah, it's going to be just like motor controls. And then at the end of the chapter, you're going to have a multiple choice chapter quiz. Exactly like motor control. Once you complete the experiment, this part, staple the lab grade form in the upper left-hand corner. Why the upper left-hand corner? Most people do that. I had one guy staple it in the right-hand corner, and I'm right-handed, and it was a hassle. He graded his papers. Experiment place in the box. We're not going to do motor controls, guys. It's going to be what? Sensors. I'm sorry. This is. I'll change that. This box is located where?
Right. On the paper.
Yeah, AUT 232 has to be graded. The box is located on the lab bench at the front of the lab. Do not forget to write your name in space provided on the lab grade form. Also, make sure you write your name on the experiment title page. Include the front experiment title page that has the title of the experiment and number. This happens all the time. People give me something and they don't put that thing up, and then I got to go back. And we've had people, of course, I've taught motor control so many times, they staple the wrong lab form to the wrong lab, right? And then they don't put their title, they don't put the title page on there, and they've done that, and now I've got to go in and get my lab book and figure out what page number that is, and I start taking off points, right? You understand? Mm-hmm. You don't have to include the section of the lab that is discussions. So every one of these labs starts off with a nice 2 or 3 page construction. If you have a mark on any page, or if you've got a sign off, those pages have to be what?
Turned in.
They have to be turned in. And the title page. The title page has to be on the front. That way I know right off the bat if your lab form matches the what? Matches the lab. Yeah. So the completed labs that requires a sign off, what I'll do is that normally what we're going to try to do is when we're in here, we're going to try to build circuits. And we're going to try not to answer questions, right? You understand? Those questions are supposed to be done at home. Everybody understand that? Build circuits. We're going to build circuits here. And then that way there'll be a less chance of you cheating if you're at your own house, right? You understand that? Now, there is a situation, and it shouldn't happen in this class because it's a small class, but usually we have some big classes where you're sitting up there pilling around waiting on me to sign off. I'll let you work on your questions if you're waiting on me. That makes sense? Okay. Try to do your lab questions at home. So I don't want you to see you do a lab, go over there and start working on your questions when we got 3 labs in this first section to do, right? And that takes off a lot of lab time. You're trying to answer your questions here instead of at home. Everybody understand that? The lab quizzes, or the chapter quizzes, what you're going to do is you're going to staple those to experiment number 3. Turn them in. So you're not going to turn those in separately. They'll be stapled to experiment number 3. In fact, they're already stapled there. Everybody okay? Makes sense? These chapter quizzes, these are separated from your lab. So I will give you your lab back, but I won't give you your chapter quizzes back. So I'll cut these off. And, so what you need to do is just make sure you put your name on the first page of the chapter quiz. Everybody okay there? In the labs will stay in my possession, the entire lab, and at the end of the class, probably since I'm still probably grading labs, if you want the labs back, and I need to remember to bring in the PLC labs. So they stay with me, right? And then at the end of the term, during the first week of the next term or the spring term, if you want your labs back, I'll give them to you. And all I do is I keep the lab forms. Everybody okay? I think that's about it. And everybody's okay on the lab form, right? And let's see if I got then the deductions and then the lab. So we finished the what lab today? So next class is test. We're going to start off in lab, right? You need to get here on time. So what we try to do, we try to work it so when we take tests, we're in lab at the start of the class, and then we take the test at the end.
You didn't say all that.
Yeah. So I gave you the first part, so what y'all need to do during the weekend is read that discussion. And by George, except for the first test, this information won't be on the first test, but it will be where? It will be on the second test. So anything on these labs inside that discussion, I learned real quick. I had an instructor in college, and he loved handouts. And he wouldn't leave a lecture on anything. But I guarantee you, if he gave a handout, there was questions on the test from what? From that handout. His name is Jack Wallace.
So what's it got to say about what's wrong?
Yeah, I have. Well, I would get it. Depends on the number of questions.
Like I said,
12:45.
Okay, going back over. Tyler, y'all need to go back and work on y'all's lab, right?
Did you mark me as here?
No, I didn't, because you
What about
can't.
yesterday?
I didn't have my computer.
Yesterday. I mean, what's today? Quit screwing me. I'm talking about Monday. Did you put me as?
I don't know. I need to get back there.
I completely forgot to tell you. Hopefully,
But technically, I don't have to, right?
I was waiting on the car.
Part of it is to get your car.
Car. No, my
Right now.
car's finally mechanic. I had to wait for long.
Oh, to ride you.
Well, I drove it